Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinitywholehealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson. We're starting this segment on kids and chiropractic. And, there's some... I find it odd. Right now, I don't know why, but the last couple of months, I've had a lot of exchange students in that are 12, 13, 14, 15 years of age. And what's interesting to me is when we talk about chiropractic in foreign countries, it's almost unheard of. It is really America where chiropractic is used a tremendous amount. And in fact, even Canada, they use chiropractors more than most of the rest of the world too. And so if we look at populations of chiropractor, I did a podcast not long ago on this, where we talked about there's just over about 100,000 chiropractors on the planet. But in America, there's almost 70,000 chiropractors. And so we have the vast majority of chiropractors, but we're like less than 5% of the world's population. And so with that understanding, anybody can go to a chiropractor in America. It's like there's one everywhere. And so I think it's about 8,000 people per chiropractor. But in Europe, it's one chiropractor to almost 250,000 people. It's just that few chiropractors out there. So when these foreign students come in and they're with a family that sees chiropractors, they come in and they're talking about their aches and pains and they get adjusted and they're like, wow, this is really great. And so I just saw one today. Typically, though, in my particular practice, I'm between 10 and 20% of my clientele are kids. And that's probably more than the average, though there are chiropractic offices out there that specialize in just seeing pediatrics. And so they're not commonplace, but there are those out there that I've heard of and that I know. And so you think, well, why would a kid need to go to a chiropractor? And ultimately, you're not going to have a child typically complain of low back pain or neck pain, but they are going to complain of things like possible headaches. They are going to complain that their gut hurts, or that they have, even in infants with acid reflux, with kids that, their stomach hurts. I'll see scoliosis in my office. I will see a lot of digestive complaints and mood disorders. I will see like irritability, tantrums. I will even see some brain things, some concussions, things like that, sports injury-wise. And so these are commonplace in my particular practice, and I really enjoy taking care of kids. When kids come in, the biggest thing parents think of, they go to a chiropractor and it sounds like a bag of walnuts being crushed in their neck. And they're like, are they going to do that to my kid? And while that is a concern, most of my clients know that I'm pretty gentle, and my philosophy is not to force something that doesn't want to go. And kids especially. Kids, I do a lot of instrument work, so I enjoy doing that. It tickles to them. They find it comfortable. They're standing. It's not something foreign. We'll lay them down. I'll check some leg length. We'll balance them laying. Sometimes I will manually adjust a kid, but usually once they hit about 2 or 3, then I'm going to do some low force or light force manual stuff. So we'll start with maybe the mid back and they get kind of used to this. Sometimes I'll ask the kid, do you ever hear popping in your back? And I guess I'm not surprised, but I am surprised that a lot of kids are like, oh yeah, my back pops. Thinking, that's actually not, and people ask me, is that okay that my kids pop their back? I say, well, yes and no. It's good that they can tell that something's not right and that they're wanting to move so that they can pop their spine or at least get it to adjust. But the fact that it's getting stuck again and now they're having to adjust it is kind of not okay. So as I go through chiropractic and explain this to people, they start realizing that, popping is okay when you're in my office, but outside my office, we want to see that as you heal, you're popping less and less and less. And if you're not, then we're thinking more and more about nutrition. And so if your child is popping their back and neck all the time, they're either really stressed out, they've been in a lot of traumas, or their diet is really not very good. And so mental stress is one of the biggest things I see with kids in spinal problems. And it's not to say, well, that means I'm a bad parent. No. I mean, if you've been around and listened to any of my podcasts, you know that I'm very big on working on the head and working on our belief systems and our memories and keeping our head as clear and as clean as possible to enjoy a happy, healthy, joyful life. But that being said, everybody has their own ideas of everything that happens to them. We all create our own patterns of emotionality based on everything that happens to us, and it's ours. It's unique to us. Kids are no different. The same experience that 3 kids have, they can all interpret it very differently in their own minds. One can have a great time, one can have an awful time, and one doesn't care at all. And so each time we have something happen to us that's seemingly traumatic in our life, we're going to create beliefs and patterns within our mind that actually inhibit us from being well and healthy. And so chiropractors, I think across the board, can help things like that, because as we adjust the spine, we're actually getting at the nervous system directly. And that actually helps brain function tremendously. And so even some emotional trouble that kids have, they can actually do quite well. I'm thinking about a really difficult case that I've been taking care of this 8-year-old for, he's now 22. I mean, that's a long time to take care of a boy. And we watched him being really difficult, going through some very traumatic experiences early on in life, going from foster home to foster home to foster home to finally landing in a family that would adopt him. And every time they say a child leaves a foster family, it's like they're dying. The family's dying because they're leaving them and now they're no more. I'm like, wow, that's really, really harsh. And so the mental trauma of going through 8 families that this particular boy went through to the age of 8, that's asking a lot of anybody's mind. That's like being rejected by 8 families of people that you thought loved you. What does that do to a mind? That's tough. And so these are the kinds of things that we work on. And we watched him struggle and struggle and struggle, even struggle with drugs for a few years, things of that nature. The parents were great. They did so many out-of-the-box things to try to help him. And, they still had that much trouble. So I get it. In a conscious parenting podcast that I'm doing, we talk about kind of mainstream stuff with the average run-of-the-mill child, but I'm going to do a difficult cases type of conscious parenting workshop too. It doesn't mean these are guaranteed to work. These are ideas of outside the box thinking for you as parents to kind of work on with your children. So this particular individual, about age 20, started to finally outgrow a lot of these things in his own head that he'd put there. And he could start to actually figure out, these are some of the beliefs that I've established in my own head, and I think I can start fixing this. But a lot of kids, even by age 12, they can be taught very, very well how to begin to work within their own mind to not disregard, but really correct some thinking that may be flawed. And it's like all of us. We all have crap in our head. And so we don't come out of childhood unscathed typically. And so that's just across the board. So I want to, again, really encourage parents. It's not this you're at fault kind of thing. That is, we want to stay way far away from that. We all have our own stuff to work on. And so as we're going that direction, we want to help our kids do that too. So as we go through this kids in chiropractic, we're going to talk about some specific cases, what I did, even some nutritional stuff I'm going to bring in on occasion. But I want you to have a good understanding of what do kids go into chiropractors for. And ultimately, it really isn't about neck pain or back pain. It's a lot of headaches. It's a lot of indigestion. It's a lot of bowel issues, colds, flus, immune challenges, all of that. But, I see my fair share of kids with torticollis, where their head's sitting on their shoulder because they slept wrong, or their brother or sister tackled them and now their neck got janked up, and after 2 or 3 days, it's getting worse and worse. These are not uncommon either. But the vast majority, they're for things that are like health challenges. Hey, he's complaining about stomach pain constantly. He's not gaining weight. He doesn't eat any food. He's really picky. He's getting headaches. He's not learning at school. He's had a concussion. These are all things that we see commonly chiropractic, and we're going to start flying through some of these cases and exploring these at much greater depth. So I hope that was a great intro for you, for parents. Until next time, if you have kids that you're like, hey, what do I do about this? Please shoot me an email, shoot me a text. I'd love to hear about it and help you with your particular condition or concern that you've got with your child, and give you some ideas of places you may want to work. So until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson.
The information on Dr. Troy Munson's podcast is meant to educate the listener and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.